Now, today's guest is someone that I've wanted to sit down with ever since I was a very young boy, and it's extremely special to me to have this opportunity. I grew up in a home where I was surrounded by his books, his cassettes, his CDs. My father would be diving into them, playing them in the car, wherever he possibly could. And I was surrounded by this man's wisdom. And it had an impact on me, both internally, externally, and in so many ways. And today I've had the great fortune of sitting with him for this podcast and this interview. I'm speaking about a man who needs no introduction, but is recently the #1 New York Times bestselling author of this book, Life Force, the one and only Tony Robbins. Tony, I am so honored, humbled, and grateful to be in your presence.
Thank you, brothers. Thanks for coming to visit.
To be in your home. You've opened up your home today. This is the first time we brought On Purpose out into the wild
I'm honored.
for a guest to be with you, but we're in your beautiful home that you've graciously, and Sage was just an amazing host and welcomed me so beautifully. And I want everyone to know also that I came here expecting that we were going to do a podcast. Tony, of course, is one of the busiest humans on the planet. We just sat down and we spent nearly an hour together just connecting and talking because of his kindness and generosity. And I want people to know that.
All the work you're doing, I wanted to hear more about it. So it's gorgeous what you're doing here. So thanks for having me on.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. So this conversation is a long time coming from the work that you've been doing. The journey of this book doesn't start when you started writing this book. Yeah. The journey of this book for you became something that you got focused on a long, long time ago.
Yeah, true.
And I wanted to focus in on one point to give people this context. You know, you're seen as someone who's superhuman. You're able to do incredible things on stage, off stage. You have a phenomenal physical, mental, psychological presence. You have a beautiful spiritual presence.
I don't know where it came from, and I knew better intellectually, but it was there. And then the first time I entered my life was before 31. I entered my life through someone else, my girlfriend. And she came home crying uncontrollably. And Jay, I mean, she was like, what is it? What is it? My mom, and then my mom has cancer. And then even worse, they gave her 9 weeks to live. They just sent her home. And I think if it would have been me, I think my fear would have overcome me. So I went to this woman, her name was Jenny. She was in her 40s. And I said, Jenny, I know you don't want to die. I said, but just going home and do nothing, why don't you read this book? This guy was in worse shape than you, and see if you wanted to apply this. And she read it and she got inspired. And I gave her As a Man Thinketh to kind of work on her head a little bit. Anyway, long story short, within about 3 weeks, she had a tumor that was protruding in her shoulder and the one in her feminine organs. And you couldn't see anything 3 weeks later in her shoulder. And at the period of, I think, about 9 weeks when she was supposed to die, and she looked good, she had great energy, and I literally looked transformed. The doctor finally said, this is crazy, let's do exploratory surgery. So they went in her body, and all they could find left of the cancer was something the size of my pinky's fingernail. And so the doctor said, this is a miracle. She said, it is a miracle, but let me tell you what I did. And he was like, no, this is spontaneous remission. I don't want to hear what you did. What you did doesn't matter. But she's in her mid-80s today. She's still alive. And that shifted me from victimhood, like, oh my God, cancer could strike me down, to believing I'll be great. So all the more shocking, now I'm a total biohacker, I'm a health nut,